Imagine, just for a moment, you're at the edge of a cliff. Blades of grass tickle your feet as a cool breeze brushes by, carrying the faint hint of salt. Waves crash against the stony shore, dragging whatever they can back into the sea. The sun dangles over the horizon like honey or a painting coming to life. It's beautiful. So beautiful, in fact, that if you believe, you could fly. This is what freedom is, or at least a glimpse of it. It's a dream, a battle cry, a goal. But what does it mean to truly be free? From pirates to warriors to titans, freedom is at the heart of these stories. The concept of freedom is complex, with each individual having the perception of what it means to be free. Based on the definition, however, freedom is the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. It's privilege, independence, and emancipation, yet the way it's applied still varies. Think of the scenario I just gave you. The fresh air, the wind, the warmth of the sun, all of these things can be freedom. But to me, to someone else, this could be a prison in itself. With no choice over which way the wind blows, what else is there except acceptance over circumstance? Now, imagine the scenario I just gave you, but this time, there's a boat. In One Piece, freedom is defined by the pursuit of dreams, the ability to carve one's own path regardless of the world's obstacles. Luffy, the protagonist, believes that becoming the Pirate King means achieving ultimate freedom. This will allow him to go wherever he wants and live his life with his own terms without restrictions, essentially becoming the freest person in the world. Every member of his crew follows their own ambitions, whether it's becoming the world's greatest swordsman, drawing a complete map of the world, or finding a lost sea. However, this pursuit is never easy. One example of this is the story of Nico Robin. As a child, Robin simply wanted to learn about the lost history of the world, but the world government deemed her knowledge dangerous and wiped out her homeland. From that moment on, she was hunted, forced to live in fear, and denied any real freedom. It was only after joining Luffy and the Straw Hats that she found a crew willing to fight for her right to exist. This highlights a key idea in One Piece. True freedom often requires others to support and protect it. It's a collective effort, not an individual pursuit. Another example is Law's journey. As a survivor of the amber lead poisoning, Law initially sought revenge against Doflamingo, the man responsible for destroying his home. His freedom was entirely tied to revenge, much like Thorfinn in Vinland Saga. However, after meeting Luffy and the Straw Hats, Law begins to understand that freedom isn't just about revenge. It's about choosing his own path, unshackled by his past. This shows that while One Piece champions the pursuit of dreams, it also acknowledges that freedom isn't just about chasing something. It's about overcoming the barriers that prevent one from living life on their own terms. Yet, this raises a question. If one has to fight constantly to maintain their freedom, is it truly freedom at all? If freedom comes at the cost of endless conflict, does it remain an ideal or become just another kind of chain? While One Piece defines freedom as the ability to chase one's dream, Vinland Saga offers a different perspective. True freedom is about letting go. Thorfinn, the main character, begins his journey as a slave to vengeance, believing that killing Askeladd will bring him the freedom he desires. However, as he grows, he comes to realize that vengeance is just another form of enslavement, trapping him in a cycle of violence that strips away his ability to choose his path. A key example of this is Thorfinn's time as a mercenary under Askeladd. Though he believes himself free because he can kill and fight as he pleases, he actually is shackled by his obsession with avenging his father. Askeladd manipulates him, dangling the promise of a duel like a leash, keeping Thorfinn under his control. It is only after Askeladd's death, when Thorfinn loses his purpose, that he starts questioning what it truly means to be free. His entire life has been dictated by revenge. Without it, this facade he called freedom shattered before his very eyes. Another example is Einar, a slave Thorfinn meets after losing everything. Unlike Thorfinn, who has spent his life fighting, Einar has always been powerless. constantly subjected to the cruelty of others. However, despite this, Einar refuses to give in to the hatred and revenge. He finds freedom not through strength, but through resilience and hope. In contrast to Thorfinn, who believed freedom came from power, Einar shows that true freedom is found in one's mindset, the ability to choose peace over violence, to reject the cycle of suffering. This contrast between Thorfinn and Einar highlights Vinland Saga's interpretation of freedom. It is not about doing whatever one wants, but about freeing oneself from the burdens of the past. However, if one spent their whole life fighting, can they just walk away? Is it that simple? Or will the past always pull them back into the cycle they wish to escape? If OnePiece argues that freedom is about chasing dreams, and Vinland Saga suggests that it's about letting go, Attack on Titan takes a much darker stance.
Help me defeat them!
I think maybe we were born this way.
I'll just keep moving forward. Till I killed my enemies. Consider this a declaration of war!
Freedom is an illusion, and the only way to obtain it is through control. Eren at the start of the series believes that the world beyond the walls represents true freedom. However, as he discovers the truth of the world, he realizes that there is always another barrier, another force restricting his people's ability to live freely. In his desperation, Eren comes to equate freedom with power. If he can destroy his enemies, if he can take control of the world itself, then, and only then, will he be free. A key example of this is Eren's fight against Marley. Initially, he saw the Titans as the only thing trapping humanity, but after learning about Marley's oppression of Eldians, he shifts his perspective. Instead of seeking a personal sense of freedom, he believes his people will only be free if all their enemies are eliminated. This drastic shift from wanting freedom for himself to wanting it through absolute control mirrors how many leaders throughout history have justified atrocities in the name of liberation. A historical parallel can be seen in the French Revolution, where the pursuit of freedom from monarchy quickly turned into a reign of terror. What began as a movement for liberty and equality led to thousands of executions, with leaders like Robespierre believing that true freedom required eliminating all those who opposed their ideals. Similarly, Eren justifies his actions by convincing himself that total eradication of his enemies is the only way his people can be free. In both cases, the fight for liberation gradually morphs into oppression, blurring the lines between justice and tyranny. The pattern is further reflected in the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte. Emerging from the revolution, he promised stability and the preservation of revolutionary ideals, yet he crowned himself emperor and waged wars against Europe under the guise of spreading freedom. Like Eren, Napoleon believed that control was the only way to ensure lasting liberation, even if it meant conquering others. Another example is Eren's conversation with Historia, where he claimed that being born into this world is what makes people free. However, his actions contradict this belief. He takes away the freedom of countless people to secure his own vision of it. This paradox is what makes Attack on Titan's take on freedom so complex. That was a tongue twister. If freedom can only be achieved through violence and domination, is it really freedom at all? If you didn't get it by now, my point is freedom is a paradox. Luffy, Thorfinn, and Eren all seek it, but their journeys show that freedom is never simple. In One Piece, freedom is about pursuing your dreams, but that pursuit requires endless battles. In Vinland Saga, freedom is about letting go, but letting go is harder than fighting. In Attack on Titan, freedom is about power, but power corrupts. These stories show us that freedom is not just one thing. It's a goal, a mindset, and a struggle. The more we chase it, the more we realize that it always comes with a cost. So what does it truly mean to be free? Is freedom something we can ever fully achieve, or will it always be just out of reach? Perhaps in the end, it could just be the search for freedom that truly defines us.